Generals planned, armies marched. Then nature intervened, blinding fog, bone-crushing cold, storms that swallowed fleets whole. Sometimes the most powerful force on the battlefield wasn't human at all. History is etched with tales not just of strategic brilliance or brutal combat, but of the raw, untamed power of the elements shaping human destiny. Imagine the vast, intricate chess game of war, where every move is calculated, every resource accounted for, only for the board itself to rise up and scatter the pieces. This is the story of war weather, where the sky became both a shield and a weapon, a silent, indifferent participant in humanity's most violent endeavors. Consider the unforgiving winter of 1812, a frozen, relentless adversary that Napoleon's Grand Army could never truly conquer. His meticulously assembled legions, numbering over 500,000 men, began their march into Russia with the summer sun on their backs, confident in their might. But as autumn faded, the sky turned a bruised metallic gray, and the first whispers of winter became howling gales. Picture the biting wind, a cruel, invisible foe, whipping across vast, treeless plains. The mercury plunged, seizing rivers in an icy grip and turning once pliable earth into a rock-hard, treacherous expanse. Snow, thick and smothering, began to fall, blanketing the landscape in a suffocating white shroud. Roads vanished, artillery wheels froze to their axles, and the very air became a weapon, searing lungs with every desperate breath. The soldiers, clad in uniforms designed for European summers, found themselves ill-equipped for the sudden, brutal shift. Their fingers stiffened, their feet froze in their boots, and frostbite became as common a casualty as cannon fire. Morale, once soaring with the eagles, plummeted under the relentless assault of cold and starvation. The retreat from Moscow became a harrowing, desperate struggle against an enemy more formidable than any Russian army. Tens of thousands perished, not from musket balls, but from the bone-deep cold, their bodies becoming silent, frozen monuments to nature's wrath. This wasn't just a tactical error. It was an environmental catastrophe for an army. A stark reminder that even the most ambitious human plans can be shattered by a sudden drop in temperature. Then there's the dramatic spectacle of the Spanish Armada in 1588, a fleet of unprecedented power poised to invade England. The Spanish ships, enormous galleons bristling with cannon, were considered invincible, God's own instrument of divine will. Their plan was precise: sail up the English Channel, link with an invading army from the Netherlands, and overwhelm England. But as they gathered off the coast, the weather, ever fickle, began to stir. A series of gales, then powerful storms, battered the massive fleet. Visualize the turbulent, churning seas, mountains of gray-green water crashing over the decks, tearing at rigging and snapping masts. The sky became a maelstrom of dark, bruised clouds, unleashing torrents of rain that blurred the horizon and turned the world into a watery, chaotic expanse. English fireships, though a clever tactic, were amplified by the tempestuous conditions, forcing the already struggling Spanish fleet into disorganized flight. But it was the journey home, around the treacherous coasts of Scotland and Ireland, where nature delivered its most devastating blows. Furious Atlantic storms, relentless and unforgiving, hammered the weakened vessels. Many ships, already damaged and low on supplies, were driven onto jagged rocks, splintering into kindling against the unforgiving shore. Their crews, thousands of seasoned sailors, were swallowed whole by the raging waves or dashed against the crags. The proud, magnificent Armada, once a symbol of Spanish might, was decimated, not primarily by English cannons, but by the relentless fury of the ocean itself. These weren't mere squalls. They were acts of God, or so it seemed to the people of the time, reshaping the balance of power across Europe. Imagine the D-Day landings on June 6, 1944. This was a plan so intricate, so vast that its success hinged on meticulous timing and near-perfect conditions. The original date was set for June 5th, but as the Allied forces prepared, the skies above the English Channel darkened. A fierce storm with gale-force winds and churning seas swept through the area. Picture the immense waves tossing even large landing craft like toys, making an amphibious assault impossible. General Eisenhower faced an agonizing decision: postpone, risking the element of surprise, and the synchronization of global operations, or press on, sending thousands to their certain doom in the raging waters. His meteorologists, poring over scant data, predicted a brief, precious window of calm for June 6th, It was a gamble of colossal proportions. The storm that delayed the invasion also gave the German defenders a false sense of security, believing no invasion could possibly happen in such weather. When the Allied armada finally set sail, the seas were still rough, turning many soldiers green with seasickness before they even reached the beaches. But that brief, fragile lull allowed the greatest amphibious invasion in history to proceed, altering the course of World War II. The storm, while nearly disastrous, ultimately played a complex role, providing both a formidable challenge and an unexpected cloak of concealment. And then there are the less dramatic but equally impactful influences. The thick, swirling fogs of the American Revolutionary War, particularly at the Battle of Long Island in 1776, allowed General Washington's trapped army to slip away from certain destruction under the very noses of the British. Envision the dense, pearly white curtain descending over the battlefield and the East River, muffling sounds and obscuring vision, transforming a desperate retreat into a ghostly, silent escape. Or the incessant, drenching rains that turned the battlefields of Flanders during World War I into an impassable quagmire, transforming trenches into muddy ditches and making every advance a brutal slog through thick, clinging mud. Imagine the cold, persistent damp seeping into bones, the ground itself becoming a deadly, sucking maw that swallowed men and equipment alike. These weren't sudden, cataclysmic events, but slow, grinding tortures, wearing down bodies and spirits, adding untold misery to already horrific conflicts. The visual record of these events, from ancient etchings depicting stormy seas to harrowing photographs of soldiers caked in mud, serves as a testament to nature's enduring power. Maps show the strategic routes planned, then overlay them with the unyielding lines of blizzards or the treacherous depths of storm-tossed oceans, illustrating how quickly human ambition can be dwarfed. Dramatic reenactments, though never fully capturing the true terror, allow us to glimpse the desperation of men fighting not just other men, but the very fabric of their environment. Sometimes the weather presented an unexpected advantage, allowing a smaller force to evade detection or strike with surprise. Other times, it brought unmitigated disaster, turning victory into defeat, or a well-ordered retreat into a desperate rout.